You probably know that LEGO is the biggest toy company in the world, but it's also the world's largest producer of tires, producing 318 million LEGO tires per year, which is 70% more than the world's second largest manufacturer, Bridgestone. In the 60 years since the very first LEGO wheels, we've gotten some incredible cars and some incredibly weird cars. So today, let's explore the evolution of LEGO cars and take a look at some of the wildest ones like this duckmobile. Alright, let's go for a drive. The first LEGO set to ever contain a vehicle was most likely the SO filling station from 1956. This 96-piece kit is quite dated by modern standards, but it introduced the idea of cars into LEGO. Now, it's worth mentioning that this set didn't include any brick-built cars. Instead, it featured LEGO's first vehicle, the SO Bedford tank truck. Aside from the large studs on top, this doesn't really look like any LEGO truck nowadays, but this is where it all began. Today, these trucks are incredibly rare and valuable collector's items worth about $750 US. It wasn't until the early 1960s when LEGO released the first independent wheels that could be added onto any other LEGO build. Set 400-2, small wheels with axles, is exactly as the label describes. A dozen pieces containing two 2x4 bricks with axle holes, this long-forgotten hinge piece, 4 wheel elements, and 4 tires. This set was simply an accessory pack that was meant to be combined with other packages, finally letting people build actual working vehicles. What might be the first set to actually include LEGO wheels is 1964's set called Train. This kickstarted LEGO's journey into the world of vehicles. Ever since then, they have been going along full steam ahead. However, for much of the next few decades, we really only got kinds of things you'd expect to see around town, like ambulances, fire trucks, and police cars. One funny thing you'll notice about the ambulance and police car is that while both of them came with a minifigure, neither of them was actually large enough to hold one. In a similar vein, 1985's family car set could actually hold minifigures, but just one, so I guess it's not really much of a family. By 1979, though, things had changed. Although LEGO Castle would have to wait until 1986 to discover wheels, the classic space line was full of new and interesting forms of wheeled transportation. Sets such as the Mobile Ground Tracking Station and the Mobile Rocket Launcher both launched in 1979 and began to accelerate the introduction of wheels in LEGO sets. By the time the 90s rolled around, things were beginning to change once again. This was LEGO's most experimental decade, and for every legendary set like the Ice Planet's Ice Sat 5, we got an absolute flop like this monstrosity. This, if you can't tell, is what LEGO called a jet car from the absolutely atrocious Znap line. If you don't remember or have chosen to forget, LEGO Znap was a product released in 1998 to rival other building toys like K'NEX that were getting popular, but it was barely compatible with other regular LEGO bricks, and Business Insider describes it as a product that, quote, almost ruined the company. Znap was discontinued after less than a year, but not before giving us such priceless gems like the Road Ripper, Jeep, and the Dino Jet. Yeah. However, the 1990s weren't all bad for LEGO tires. While the LEGO Technic brand officially rolled out in 1982, the 90s was the decade where it really made a splash with sets like 8880, the supercar, which now sells for upwards of $800 in its original box. This 1,346-piece set is undeniably lacking by modern standards. I mean, just look at it compared to something like this LEGO Bugatti set released in 2023 to see just how far LEGO vehicles have come. A few years later, in 1997, LEGO put out a rather, well, let's just say, interesting Technic car, the Future car. With 418 pieces, this dune buggy-styled car was meant as a glimpse into the not-so-distant future that I, for one, am still waiting for. Regardless, this set now sells for nearly $150. By the mid-2000s, LEGO was still trying to nail down the perfect scale for some of its cars. While the Technic cars were perfect fit for Technic figures at the time, LEGO stopped making those in year 2000. That meant if a car was meant to have a driver, it needed to be in minifigure scale. At least, sort of. 2007's Ferrari is a replica of the classic Speedster made out of 167 parts. Overall, this is a great little build, but there's one thing that always struck me as quite odd. The driver seems so small. This car is a scale of 1 to 42, but minifigures are about 1 to 42, meaning that the minifigure is nearly half the size it should be for this car. This set was too big for a minifigure, but too small to be a true display piece, so to compromise, LEGO just slapped a minifigure head and helmet on there to give the illusion of a driver. No torso, nor legs. So despite the appearance, this set doesn't contain a full minifigure. LEGO would prove to never stop making replica cars as the Speed Champions line launched in 2015 and has been a huge success thus far. Combined with the ever-growing collection of 1 to 8 scale Technic cars, it's a safe bet that LEGO is committed to releasing releasing faithful replicas of classic cars. While that's all well and good, LEGO has continued to flex its creative muscles in other, more imaginative themes. From the mid-2000s onward, LEGO began to redefine exactly what a car meant. In 2007, LEGO released a dozen sets under the SpongeBob SquarePants theme, and a surprising number of them featured some pretty wacky rides. Overall, of the 14 SpongeBob sets, 7 had at least some kind of car. Most of these were pretty basic, like the car in the Adventures in Bikini Bottom set, but there were some that were more interesting, like the 210-piece Bikini Bottom Express or the 94-piece Heroic Heroes of the Deep. However, my favorite from this line is probably the Paddy Wagon from the Krusty Krab Adventure set. Seriously, who hasn't wanted to drive around in a giant hamburger? Certainly a weird, yet awesome car. Now, 2012 gave us the iconic Monster Fighters line, and this theme was also full of incredible cars. Almost every set in this theme featured some sort of vehicle, so there's not time here to mention them all, but there are a few that I just can't skip over, such as this zombie-crushing vehicle found in the Zombies set. Another set featured this slick roadster, and the Vampire Hearse turned things up a notch, but the real star was undoubtedly the 741-piece Ghost Train with multiple train cars, despite not including any train tracks. However, as impressive as all of these sets are, the one that I'll always remember is one of the smallest, the Zombie Coffin Car, a promotional polybag with only 32 pieces, but it's got a certain simplistic charm that LEGO does so well. 5 years later, in 2017, LEGO began releasing a large number of sets tying into the LEGO Batman movie, and one of them featured one of the funniest LEGO cars I've seen. In the Batcave break-in, the Penguin is assaulting the Caped Crusader in his trademark duckmobile, complete with missiles, 6 wheels, and my favorite detail, a duck and cover sticker. The Penguin is pretty well known for his vehicles, and this same line also gave us the Arctic Roller. This set is absolute brilliance from the front to back, with its fish missiles, escape sled, and high flyer license plate. For a bad guy, he's got a pretty good sense of humor. Now, a different yet far more confusing take on a classy car can be found in the Robo Hip Hop car set released in 2021 under the Video line. Now, the video theme didn't really get a lot of love, but it did have a few great sets, and this is one of them. While this set looks like it's coming straight out of a Daft Punk video, there's one detail that I can't seem to wrap my head around: the hot tub. These two are pretty clearly robots, or at least cyborgs, and last time I checked, electrical components and water just don't mix. I guess this is a truly shocking vehicle design. In 2023, LEGO turned up the creativity a notch, or several notches actually. The Dreams line might be one of my favorite new LEGO original themes in years, with its vast imagination, incredible colors, and mind-twisting builds that will certainly make you stop and wonder. This theme is full of amazing vehicles, but there are 2 cars that really stand out. The first is the 494-piece Crocodile car, an amazing blend of, well, you guessed it, a crocodile and a car. One of the fun things about these sets is they come with 2 different versions, the normal one and the dreamy one. This crocodile hybrid is obviously from the dream world, but even the real world version is impressive in its own right. The other set worth pointing out does the exact same thing, albeit a little bit differently. Miss Castillo's turtle van might not have the punchiest name, but it oozes with charm, a combination of a giant turtle and a Volkswagen van. I can't imagine that this is the fastest way to get around, but as they say, the journey is half the fun, so I'm all for it. And before we move on, please take 2 seconds to tap that subscribe button if you enjoy my videos. I really appreciate it. Moving on, we all know that LEGO loves bananas. These things pop up everywhere, and only rarely as actual bananas, so it's no surprise that LEGO recently released a banana car. The Minions and banana car is exactly what you'd expect. Several minions and a car that, well, looks like a banana. While the car itself isn't anything too special, it's a cute enough build to make fans of the series happy. But just because LEGO has embraced its wackier side doesn't mean that it's done with the real world. In 2021, LEGO released this great little set, the 155-piece Tuk Tuk. Now, if you've never been to South or Southeast Asia, you've probably never seen one of these, but they are everywhere in countries like India. With LEGO actively trying to expand its global market and trying to release more cultural sets as of late, this was a smart choice, and selling for only $10 is a really good deal. On the opposite end of the spectrum, LEGO recently released one of its largest ever vehicles, or at least the one with the most wheels if we don't count trains. The mobile construction crane has 16 wheels, measures over 19 inches or 48 centimeters long. That's a seriously large quantity of wheels to accomplish the task of lifting a single porta potty. In fact, while trying to research which LEGO set has the most wheels, I ran into a few dead ends. It seems that, quote, the number of wheels isn't a stat that's tracked by LEGO or really any other set. However, I did find a fan-made creation that might break the title. Behold the 200-wheel vehicle. Created by the team over at the Brick Experiment channel, this remote-controlled car measures over 20 feet, or nearly 6.5 meters in length. I really like this creation, but you can see even more clever LEGO builds in this video. Click here to watch, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel SpitBrix for more LEGO videos.